Hello everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. And in today's video, let's explore LangServe, an amazing tool from LangChain that can be used to transform your large language model application into an API server. In this video, I'm going to explain step by step how to create the credentials, how to use LangServe, how to integrate LangServe with LangSmith so you can trace the model's response, and I also want to show you an amazing feature that was included in LangSmith that allows the user to provide feedback on the model's response. So the user can say whether the response was accurate or not. I'm going to be leaving in the description below all the links and the GitHub repo so you can follow the tutorial with me. And now let's go into it. As a first step, you will need to create a LangChain account if you want to get an API key. So you just need to go to this website and click on the button on sign up. Since I already created my account, it redirects me to my profile. Then you can go to settings and click on create API key. Here you just need to give a name. In this case, let's call it LangServe intro. It will regenerate the API key that we will copy paste to our project. Here we have it now. Then you will need to install all these Python libraries. In my case, I already created a virtual environment which has all these libraries installed in an isolated environment. And now as a next step, let's create our application. Let's call it app. Here we will import all the Python libraries. In this case, we will be using .env to load the credentials. To create the large language model application, we'll be using FastAPI, which is integrated with LangServe. We'll be specifying a prompt to our large language model, and we will run the model locally. We will be using Ollama. I have another video in which I explain how to use Ollama, and I will leave it in the description below. But essentially, it's an amazing library that allows to run locally 7 billion parameter model. And in this case, we will be using Llama 2. And then string output parser, it's just for formatting of the output of the model. Now let's load all our credentials. Here we have LangChain API key. And now let's set them up. So we will do LangChain API key, and we will get the API key that we obtained a couple of minutes ago. Also, since we will be using LangSmith and we want to trace the model's response, we will need to set a couple of environment variables. Here we will need to do OS environment, and then let's specify that we want to trace the response of the model by typing LangChain tracing v2, and let's assign the value of this environment variable as true. So let's do that now. And we will also need to specify another environment variable, which is LangChain project, which specifies the project in which we want to save the model's response. Here we'll need to specify LangServe tutorial. So I already created a project in LangSmith, which is LangServe tutorial, and here we will save all the model's response. Okay, now that we have all our credentials set up, we will use Ollama. Let's load our large language model, and for this we'll be using Ollama. So let's call it chat model, and let's use chat Ollama. Here we will need to specify the parameter, which is model, and we will need to use Llama 2 or any other large language model that you already have installed in your computer. In my case, I have Llama 2. Okay. And now let's specify a prompt to instruct the model to reply in certain way. For this tutorial, I want the model to reply like if it's a king. So let's do that now. So let's create a prompt for our model. So chat prompt template. Let's do from messages. Here, let's specify the system, and let's specify that we want to transform the user's input into speech feed for a king. So whenever we ask a question, the large language model will reply like if it's a king. Okay, now that we have this, we will need to put it in a tuple. Now let's specify a message placeholder that will basically contain the chat history. And now let's specify the user input. So let's do human, and here let's specify text So whenever we ask a question, the model will reply like if it's a king, and we will save this data so we can learn from previous responses. And now let's create a chain so we can connect our prompt with our large language model and also to give some formatting to the response of the model. So let's do chain equal to prompt. Now let's specify this pipe to connect the prompt with the child model and also with the string output parser. Okay. After we have our chain created, let's proceed to create the FastAPI app. Here, let's specify as a title LangChain. Okay. Let's also specify the version and also a description. So for the version, we will specify 1.0, and for the description, we will specify LangServe tutorial. Let's also add a route, which is the endpoint in which we can access to the model. So let's do add route. Here we'll specify the app that we will be accessing and also the chain. And also we will need to add the path. Let's say that whenever we want to call the model, we need to go to the path call king. And now let's use Ubicorn to run the application. So let's do if name equal main ubicorn.run. Here let's specify as a host our local host, and for the port let's use 8001. After we do this, let's run the application. So let's do python app.py, and here we can see that okay, I apparently have another application deployed in this port. So let's do O2 and run it again. Okay, here we can see that LangServe is being used in this case, and let's check this link and let's go directly to the endpoint in which we have our large language model working, which is in King Playground. And now let's ask a question to the model. So let's see this one. How are you today, Your Majesty? Since the model is supposed to reply like a king, and let's see the response. As I said earlier, I'm using Ollama, so the model, which is Llama 2, which has 7 billion parameters, is running locally. Amazing. So as you can see, the model is replying like if it's a king. Let's go back to the code and let's add another parameter to the route, which is a playground type in which we want to specify that we want to have a chat with the model. So let's do that again. Let's deploy the application. So we refresh the page. You can see that we have a different UI and we can start asking questions to the model. So let's say, hello, my name is Eduardo. How are you? And let's see the response of the large language model. As you can see, it keeps responding like if it's a king. And let's ask another question just to prove that the model has memory. So let's ask, what's my name? And here you can see that the model remembers that my name is Eduardo. So it's working as expected. Let's go back to the code. And I said earlier that it would be nice if we could include a feature in which the user can provide some feedback to the model's response. So that's what we're gonna do now. Let's add this feature. So it's called enable feedback endpoint, and let's specify it as a true. So whenever the model provides a response, we will say whether it is accurate or not. And also let's specify enable public trace link endpoint. So we will have all these responses in LangSmith. So let's refresh the page and then let's ask another question to the model. Let's say, any plans for today? Okay, let's see the response of the model. And here you will see two buttons below in which specifies with a thumbs up or a thumbs down whether we are satisfied or not with the response. In this case, as the model is replying like if it's a king, I'm gonna say that it's an accurate response. And then if we go to LangSmith, we will see how this looks like. So here we have in the chat history that we haven't sent any message because of course this is the first one that we sent. This is the question that was asked to the model. And then here we can see the response of the model. If we click on chat Ollama, here we can see the prompt that the model has, the question that was asked, and the response of the model. So it's working as expected, which is great. Let's ask a different question to the model, such as, are you planning to conquer any territories soon? So basically I want to show you how the chat history looks like in LangSmith. So let's go Well, in this one, let's not provide any feedback. Let's just go to LangSmith trace, and you will see that we will have the history here now. So here we have, are you planning to conquer any territories soon? And you see that there are two messages already sent, which are any plans for today, which was the first message that we asked. Here we have the response, and then here we have the response of the second question. And if you want to see the feedback for this response, we just need to click on feedback. And as you can see, there's no feedback for this run. But if we go back to the chat and we provide this feedback, you will see that the feedback will be registered here. In this case, you will see that it has a score of 1, which specifies that the key is correct. Also, I want to show you how to make a simple API request. So let's go back to the code and let's do test LLM, and here we will make a post request. We'll be using the requests library. Here we need to specify the host and the port in which our model is running. So it's 8002 king. This is the endpoint. Then we're invoking the model, and let's just ask this question, such as like, what did you do today? So let's open a different terminal and let's ask this question. Let's do Python test. So here the model is generating the response and it works like a post request. Here you can see the response of the model, so you can see that it's working also as expected when we make post requests. So in this video tutorial, I was able to show you how to use LangServe, how to integrate LangServe with LangSmith so you can trace the model's response, and also how to use this amazing feature from LangSmith in which users can provide feedback of the model's response. I hope you like this video tutorial, and if you have any type of questions, please leave them in the comment section below. Hit the like button below. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel because it helps me to create more content, and turn on the notification bell. See you next week.